What's up, metal and heavy music fans? I'm always looking for an excuse to revisit the bygone era of horror and action films being paired with a metal soundtrack, and with The Matrix Resurrections dropping, it looks terrible by the way, I thought it was high time to talk about the music of the original.
Hello, Neo.
There were actually a lot of great metal soundtracks from this era, but this one from 1999 has arguably among the most consistent run times aside from maybe the original The Crow OST. The album is 13 tracks covering some of the most popular acts of the time, from Marilyn Manson to The Prodigy. Speaking of which, we kick it off with Manson's anthemic Rock is Dead from the seminal album Mechanical Animals. I'm actually willing to bet that this was one of my early gateways into his music, for better or worse considering current context. Next up is a deeper cut with the Propellerhead's Spy Break. Now, if you're like me, this name may have caused you to furrow your brow, but I promise you, even just listening to a few seconds will not only jog your memory, but also likely conjure images of the scene that this EDM banger plays under. Then we get our first of many doses of industrial metal in Ministry's Bad Blood. Both of these genres are something I had already been primed for with 1997's Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack, which I've also talked about on the channel.
Too bad you will die.
Then this mix of Rob Dugan follows with another deeper cut in Clubbed to Death, which once more is inseparably linked in my memory to scenes from the film with its attitude-laden head-bobbing beat, mechanical-sounding samples, and string arrangements. Meat Beat Manifesto's Prime Audio Soup was a little bit less familiar to me on re-listen, with its more overt focus on percussion and isolated atmosphere over melody, but then that bassy part kicks in around the minute 30 mark and it all comes flooding back. Really, it's actually impressive just how engaging these songs really are to just put on and take in. But hey, now it's time to get a little heavier again with the lunatic calm classic Leave You Far Behind. And I promise you, even if you don't recognize the name, I assure you that this opening line is engraved somewhere deep in your brain.
I wanna take you on a roller coaster.
If you don't remember the band though, they're kind of in the same vein as the arguably more popular The Prodigy, who coincidentally get the following track in Minefields. It's an interesting choice in that The Fat of the Land is probably one of the best electronic albums of all time, and beloved even amongst most metalheads that I talk to, but this isn't one of the tracks I generally call out from it. Great music video though. But now we're really delving into the meat of it with a song that even among middle schoolers I knew was an anthem that year in Rob Zombie's Dragula, albeit the Hot Rod Herman remix. I've even referenced this club scene in one or two videos on the channel, and it's always the first song that comes to mind when thinking about the movie. On the flip side, this is immediately followed by the Deftones classic My Own Summer Shove It, which is among my favorite songs from one of my favorite bands, further adding points to the strength of this track listing, but on the other hand, it's not one that I really associate with the movie in any way. Then there's two more slightly deeper cuts in Hive's Ultrasonic Sound and Monster Magnet's Look to Your Orb for the Warning. The former another Prodigy-esque track packed with chugging guitars and disorienting breakbeats, and the former a plodding dirtbag rocker that's probably my most skipped on the album overall. But then thankfully we close out very strong with the 1-2 punch of Ramstein and Rage Against the Machine. Du Hast was another inescapable 90s anthem that was so pervasive I remember hearing it played over the loudspeakers when going grocery shopping with my mom back in the day. Between this and Angle, it was a big first step into loving this band and industrial metal in general.
Du hast mich.
And then as a fan already of alternative radio, I was familiar with Rage Against the Machine, but this is just a damn fine track that is both great to bang your head to and also perfectly fits the themes of the movie. Furthermore, it's the perfect way to close out the soundtrack, considering it's also the last song we hear before the credits roll in what probably should have just been the end of what became a mess of a franchise, if you ask me. So again, this was really just a fun excuse to wax nostalgic about the 90s, one of my favorite action films, and also one of the best metal and electronic soundtracks of the era. If I were to grade it in the pantheon of its peers, I'd easily give it an A, once more right alongside that of The Crow. So if you haven't given it a listen or it's been a while, I say throw it on and let me know what you think of it in the comments. Based on the trailers, I think it'll be a much more enjoyable experience than the new movie. And you can also check out this video for my thoughts on the Mortal Kombat Annihilation soundtrack. See you in the trenches.